Charles, you are the wind beneath my wings.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Thank you. I am not the technical one here.
I know.
I freely admit that. You know, we come up with these ideas and you make them happen. Like, how did this come about?
Believe it or not, it's all because of Anchor. Anchor has the tools. It lets me record, edit, and distribute right from the computer. Sometimes I do it from my phone. It's just as easy either way.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're on like dozens of platforms, though.
It's true. Anchor makes it easy to distribute our podcast on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and dozens more. It's everything we need, and it's all in one place. And you'll love this part. It's all completely free.
Oh, thank God.
Right? I use Anchor for pretty much every aspect of getting our show out there and into the listeners' ears.
That's amazing.
It is. And if you, dear listeners, want to get into the podcasting game, you just need to download the Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Maybe Anchor's the wind beneath my wings.
Hey!
Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to another edition of Full Circle, the podcast. A weekly visit to our home where we squeeze a few headlines through our decidedly queer lens and see what happens. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the crick in my neck left from shaking my head all damn week.
Well, I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I am your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome to the Full Circle table.
In this episode, we talk about a moment in Black history. Despite white folks trying it, the phrase, "ain't I a woman," is purported to not actually be in the original speech that Sojourner Truth gave. The teenagers are leading the way.
There were no adults kind of stepping up to revive Pride.
And they're like, we want pride, we will have pride. An insurance company without a spine. Unlike a good neighbor, State Farm said, you on your own, bitch. Republican lies have immediate real-world effects.
The man grabbed her arm, forced her body around to make her look at him, saying, "You're perverting kids."
Whew, and more.
Hello.
Hi.
It is a windows open kind of day. You might hear the occasional car go by, and we're all just gonna have to deal with it because there's a gorgeous breeze today.
It is. It's easy breezy day.
Yeah, and I am just soaking it up. It's been quite a week. It's been quite a week.
It really has.
Yeah, and most of what has happened this week we're going to touch on anyway.
Word.
We have a full slate. I want to get this kind of off my spirit.
Okay.
This is a worldwide headline that is certainly soaking up the news here in the United States. This past Tuesday, May 24th, an 18-year-old cis man armed with an AR-15 assault rifle murdered 19 children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas. I have thought about what to say or not say.
Right.
I certainly have many thoughts on violence in America, especially where guns are concerned. I'm not sure any of it is useful at this moment. As I was really, I can't read those names out loud. I can't do it. These are babies. I cannot do that. I remembered this morning, as we were pulling our notes together, Mr. Rogers telling children to look to the helpers.
Yes.
And I want us to have a useful response here. So this week, we confirmed this morning, while I had the idea, we will sit down with Peabody Award-winning host of Kids Corner on WXPN, Kathy O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy has been talking with children for 35 years on the radio.
Mm.
She did just an amazing job continuing with her live call-in show throughout the pandemic. And she had so many great conversations with kids during such an especially hard time. This is the most useful thing I think that we can provide. We will talk about, we're going to broaden the topic to how do we talk to trans kids and their families about all of the legislation we're seeing around the country. But how do we talk about a tragedy?
Right.
What do we say and what do we do? And Kathy has been a helper through generations.
This is true.
Generations of kids. And we will release that interview on Friday. So beyond a couple of news items that are related to this, that is what I have to say. Obviously, our hearts go out to the people who are grieving right now. So we're gonna move along and get right into some good news.
Yes,
How about
Lord.
good news?
Good news.
Yeah.
Well, today, actually, you brought this Black History fact to my attention.
You're welcome.
Thank you. On this day, May 29th, 1851, abolitionist and women's rights activist Sojourner Truth delivered her iconic speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio.
Wow.
And it was a great speech for, speaking about the rights of Black people and women and the downtrodden everywhere. The interesting part about this speech, as iconic as it was, the version that we've come to know has recently come to light that it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" is purported to not actually be in the original speech that Sojourner Truth gave.
Ain't this typical?
Right. As it turns out, a white woman named Frances Gage published a version of the speech in the April 23rd, 1863 issue of the New York Independent.
So 12 years later.
Right. And that version of the speech has all kinds of stereotypical Black dialect.
Did she blacken the speech?
She blackened it up.
Wow.
As it were. And that's where the "Ain't I a Woman" comes in.
Do we have any original version of the speech?
Well, yeah, the original version, for instance, starts with, "May I say a few words? I want to say a few words about this matter. I am a woman's rights. I have as much muscle as any man. I can do as much work as any man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed, and can any man do more than that?" That's how the original begins.
Powerful.
The version that became popular starts, "Well, chillin', what dar's so much racket, dar must be something out of kilter." Like,
Oh my God.
yeah, exactly. You see where this goes.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah. If you go to the website, the sojournertruthproject.com, you can read more about the history of the event in which the speech was given, and you can see a side-by-side comparison of the original transcription that was published in the June 21st, 1851 edition of the Anti-Slavery Bugle.
Okay.
That is the version that Sojourner Truth gave, and Frances Gage's inaccurate version in the New York Independent.
Which is the more famous version.
Correct.
I'm just watching a whole bunch of Black children walk into the playground right outside the front window as you're talking about this.
See?
Like, yo, y'all.
Child. So, yeah. So, today's Black History fact is, of course, tied up in white folks trying it. Let me sip from my white tears cup.
Do that. Have a sip. Have a sip. She blackened
Tasty,
it up.
as it were.
Wow. Interesting. It's great that this is what the internet is so wonderful for.
Mm-hmm.
When it is positive is that we can, put things side by side and do research and put that research out there into the world.
Right.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So June 2nd, which this episode will be released Tuesday, the 31st, right,
Yes.
of May, just after Memorial Day.
Yes.
On Thursday, June 2nd, the Philadelphia Orchestra is giving a free Pride concert.
Which is amazing.
7:30 this coming Thursday night. You can go to their website, which is philorch.org. Phil, Phil, orch, orch.org. To reserve tickets. It's going to be, it is a ticketed event, but tickets are completely free, and seating is first come, first serve. Interesting, fun lineup. Celebrated Canadian violinist Blake Pulio will be there. The Philadelphia Gay Men's Chorus.
Nice.
And our own Martha Graham Cracker is performing.
Fabulous.
She's amazing.
She really is.
Again, free for the region's LGBTQ plus community for Pride Month. So this episode will release in time for local people to hopefully get their tickets and go see the orchestra.
Yes.
So good news.
That is good news.
Fun. Let's talk about the Calvin Klein Pride ad for 2022. This is fun.
This is fun.
I have met John Waters, by the way.
John,
as you know.
Yes.
As you know.
Yes.
Maybe it's is it time to publish that picture again? I met, because my buddy Elizabeth was in 4 of the films. I got to go to the holiday special, I guess right before COVID, right?
Yes.
So probably 2019, probably.
Yes, that sounds right.
And I got to meet John and spend a few minutes with him, and he is absolutely delightful. So tell me about the ad. I see that he and Mink Stoll.
Yes, they are the face of Calvin Klein's new campaign, Pride. Calvin Klein Pride celebrates freedom of expression with a range of iconic pieces in rainbow colors designed to wear with pride. And, it's some very expensive but brightly colored button-down shirts. But yeah, so John Waters and Mink Stoll, they are like the front of this campaign, actually alongside the House of Extravaganza, which is also fabulous.
That's fun. There you go.
And there's an interview with John Waters and Mink Stoll, and they talk about, the love they have for each other, and how, there's no sexual tension, which makes their friendship so easy. And,
exactly.
And that's how it's lasted so long.
And in the conversation about love is love, that includes our friendships. And our chosen family, which is so often way closer to us than our origin family.
Yes. So, check out Calvin Klein, and you'll get to see the interview in its entirety, and also check out the House of Extravaganza's promotional campaign. It's a very cool thing that Calvin Klein's doing.
And anytime we talk about love, conservatives lose their fucking minds. So, yay.
Exactly.
Bonus.
Love, love, love. Gay, gay, gay.
Love. Gay, gay, gay. I have an interesting collection of stories.
Yes.
About queer young people. Yeah, I love all of this. We're gonna start with Bradley Curry, because we talked about Bradley just before his graduation.
Yes.
And how the principal was intent on dead naming him, to give him his diploma. Reason won out.
Hallelujah.
For Bradley. This is in Indiana. Bradley Curry, who is 18, has been out as transgender since he was 12 years old. Gone by his first name in school ever since. And then when he found out several weeks ago, Boonville High School principal Mike Whitten was going to use his dead name at the graduation ceremony. He got his dad involved. They went to the superintendent, Todd Lambert, to overturn the decision. And Friday, just before graduation, his dad, Jeremy, told the Advocate that Lambert said the school reversed its decision.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, it was the day before, but even though his dead name did appear in the program, his name, as it was announced, was Bradley. So congratulations, young man.
Yes.
You have a bright future in front of you.
Congratulations,
and
Bradley.
Just know we are celebrating from here in New Jersey.
Indeed.
Good stuff.
They made him wait for it, but it still worked out in the end.
Can I wait? I wanted to talk about this one too.
Okay.
Because I love it. I love it. This was, the story was in CNN. So, this young man in Florida has been the class president of his high school all 4 years.
Yes.
And of course, he couldn't discuss being gay in his high school graduation speech because Florida.
Right.
What he did instead
This is good.
was brilliant.
This is good.
His name is Xander Morizz, Moricz. So I'm not sure how to say that.
Moritz, maybe?
Yeah, you're probably right. He has been active in social justice causes at Pineview School in Osprey, Florida. He led a student walkout in March to protest the controversial measure that bans certain teachings about sexual orientation and gender identity that will go into effect in July. And he is also notably one of the plaintiffs in a lawsuit challenging the law. So this young man is engaged.
Yeah, he is.
He told CNN that the school's principal met with him and told him he couldn't talk about that issue. And he said, he's always been very supportive of me and my identity, and I was really hurt. He had come out during his freshman year. He was the first openly gay class president of the school, and he felt a responsibility to address the controversy. He told CNN that school is the only guaranteed space that kids have in the state. When you take that only guaranteed space and you make it one that victimizes an entire population of students, what you're doing is you're forcing kids to make the choice of either not come out safely or not come out at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came time to speak at his graduation ceremony, he took off his mortarboard hat and he pointed to his head. Quote, "I used to hate my curls. I spent mornings and nights embarrassed of them, trying desperately to straighten this part of who I am. But the daily damage of trying to fix myself became too much to do. So while having curly hair in Florida is difficult due to the humidity, I decided to be proud of who I was and started coming to school as my authentic self." He said his teachers were some of the first people he went to for advice because he didn't have other curly-haired people to talk to, and said the support he got at school helped him to grow. Now I'm happy, and that is what is at stake. There are going to be so many kids with curly hair who need a community like Pineview, and they won't have one. Instead, they'll try to fix themselves so they can exist in Florida's humid climate.
Come on, metaphor.
Yeah. The principal applauded and gave him a hug on stage. We honor and celebrate the incredible diversity in thought, belief, and background in our school and champion the uniqueness of every single student on their personal and educational journey. That was fun. This is Sarasota County, Osprey, Florida. And yeah.
It's a textbook definition of you can't stop the beat.
Thank you. I love these kids.
All your little finger wagging and rules, they're not going to stop kids from being bright and being clever and being resourceful. In fact, all you're doing is amping all that up by giving them a reason to use it.
So our congratulations to another graduate who is going places.
And as two curly-headed people,
yes, we are.
We give you
much
props.
And we are very aware of the humidity everywhere.
Oh. It's muggy out this bitch.
Right. No kidding. We have another Florida graduate.
Yes.
Grab it. Yay.
So a young man named William Harless in Florida, because he couldn't use graduation as a platform to verbally
come out,
mm-hmm. He still managed to make a statement by waving a big pride flag on his way to receiving his diploma.
Good for him. These kids are creative.
They really are.
I love it.
You can't stop the beat.
You can't stop the beat. It's also pointless, but they'll keep trying. It makes them stronger. It makes them stronger, in my opinion. A bunch of teens in Maine actually stepped up and saved their small town's pride parade.
I love it. We have listeners in Maine.
We do. Hey. So high school students, Belfast. The first Pride Parade in Belfast, Maine took place in 2016.
Yes.
Of course, it was on break through the pandemic, and there were no adults kind of stepping up to revive Pride.
And they're like, we want Pride. We will have Pride.
Right. So several teens who are students at Belfast Area High School and members of the school's Gender and Sexuality Alliance, GSA, picked up the baton and they ran with it. The club's president, Willa Bywater, told LGBTQ Nation that the idea originated with her mother, both as a way to go ahead with the parade and to give the GSA, which had kind of faltered in recent years, some direction and purpose.
Yes.
I feel like the idea of the newer generation of queer kids stepping in to carry on, I liked the idea, can't read today, of the newer generation of queer kids stepping in to carry on the tradition of the parade in Belfast. This is cool.
Yeah, they did all the work. They got their parade permits together.
Mm-hmm.
They did all the legwork.
Worked with the school district central office to obtain liability insurance, raise money for expenses, carry out a publicity campaign, and they are looking forward to coordination of volunteers and parade participants on June 4th. So next weekend, Belfast will have a Pride celebration brought to you by their young people. How cool is that?
Good for them.
Yeah. How cool is that? They secured funding, to take care of all this. They canvassed downtown to spread the word. Saturday, June 4th, 2022, 10:30 a.m. outside Belfast Area High School. This is cool. These kids are the future, and we have to keep it in mind. And
to quote the words of the immortal bard Whitney Houston, I believe the children are our future.
There we go. So you have another 15-minute fave, which you've replaced once or twice already this week. So what is it right now? You have to make a decision, stick with it, and let's let it take us into break.
Yeah, I thought I had my 15-minute fave around like Wednesday or Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Because I was listening to one of my favorite things ever is the Eurovision Song Contest.
Okay.
Where all the countries of Europe, each country submits a song and, they battle it out to see who's got the best song in Europe. And the Latvian entry.
Why are we talking about the one that isn't your favorite? Oh, go ahead.
Because it's on the playlist.
Okay. It is on the playlist.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The Latvian entry.
Yeah.
Tickled the hell out of me. It's by a band called City Zany. I'm not sure how to say that. There's a little funny thing over the E. Anyway, the song is called Eat Your Salad, and it's about like how being a vegetarian is cool.
Okay.
And
this is not what I was. Go ahead.
One of the lines is, "Hey kids, eating your greens is cool." And I'm like, this would be a great song to get kids to eat their vegetables if the very first line wasn't the only thing I eat is veggies and pussy.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, it tickled me, and that was
so. This is not a kid's song.
It's not a kid's song. No, it is not. So I put it on the playlist, And as I was in the process of putting it on the playlist, I was checking out some new music. And my current 15-minute fave came up.
Vegans do taste better, by the way.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
Basically, once you introduce Missy Elliott into any equation, I'm going to love it.
Okay.
So there is a new song by David Guetta and Afrojack featuring Missy Elliott called Trampoline. And, you know, I said David Guetta, Afrojack, and Missy Elliott. And that's really all you need to know how funky this damn song is. So my current 15-minute fave, and I feel like this one's going to last a little bit, is Trampoline by David Guetta, Afrojack, and Missy Elliott.
All right, let's play it into the break, shall we? And we will be right back. We will.
If Get Up made it, then it's a hit. If Gucci wears it, then it's expensive. Tight ass box, so in the way I'm gifted. I need a pot the way I've been shitting. Hand me a rock for all the bitches I'm skipping. Hand me the chalk, the whole board, fuck with me. You bitches ain't scoring, you bitches touring, straight limping. I'm busy touring with Lindsay, Lauren, and Solana. You bitches drama, I'm bouncing records in Bahamas and Benihana. You need a hug, you need a father, you need some guala. The way I'm spinning, it ain't proper. Might need a doctor for this, the baka. Bounce it as a tropical, is that as a fraud? No, I need me a president. Can I swipe your card? No, rich ass bitch, that's evidence. So I need all my settlements. That's why I keep my hoes between my legs like they my residence.
Let's talk about Newsly. Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening. You can literally follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science, to Bitcoin, the latest in queer news, or even the Kardashians. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. And they have podcasts as well, including ours, Full Circle the Podcast with Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. I started using it as my default podcast app, and it's pretty cool. Download and use Newsly for free today from www.newsly.me, or follow the link we posted in the description of this episode and use promo code FULLCIRCLE with the numeral 1 replacing the I. That's Full Circle to receive a free 1-month premium subscription.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
It's time for the cavalcade of nonsense.
Yeah, it is.
I can't even say it. So, you know, in my notes, I wrote this early in the week, so I didn't even know what the hell I was talking about when I just looked at the notes. It says, toys cause a stir. We invented glamour, you hateful grunts. Jesus wore a dress, you morons. I didn't even know what I was talking about, but that's what I wrote. It turns out that Fisher Price has introduced Little People dolls. RuPaul Little People dolls.
Yes.
They're adorable. They're like little 3-inch dolls.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, the 1 million moms, which apparently is, you know, less than 20,000. They're big mad. They're big mad.
They are big.
They
mad.
put out a statement. Apparently they are an offshoot of, I'm reading from LGBTQ Nation, an AstroTurf, as opposed to Grassroots, offshoot of American Family Association, which is, you know, anti-queer and probably has a hate group designation. But, you know, they're telling parents to write Fisher Price and boycott the company until it stops selling this toy.
Yeah, all right.
Fisher Price, quote, is choosing to push an agenda of sexual confusion instead of promoting its actual product. This PC inclusive toy set blurs the biological distinctions between males and females. Introducing children to this lifestyle choice is contrary to what conservative Christian parents are teaching their children about God's design. Yes, it is.
Says more about y'all than does about
That's accurate. The dolls promote cross-dressing and glorify the drag queen lifestyle. Now drag is a lifestyle. Get the fuck out of here.
Sure.
Forcing us to accept the LGBTQ lifestyle, which is really an abomination. Little 3-inch figurines are certainly glamorous. They show RuPaul in gowns and fashionable boy drag. It is unlikely they'll suddenly turn any kid into a runway walking look queen. LEWK.
Yes.
The figures provide zero indication that they are, in fact, a man wearing a dress. You can't even tell on their little. They're far more likely to be purchased by middle-aged gay fans of Drag Race than they are by kids.
Yes.
In the first place. But, they get hysterical about everything. They were mad at Parents Magazine for featuring a same-sex couple. They were mad at an anti-smoking ad that mentioned erectile dysfunction, which surprises me.
Right.
Highlights Magazine for acknowledging the existence of gay people. Scholastic Books for featuring LGBTQ inclusive children's books. The non-binary character in Roseanne, which is now the Connors, and apparently some Disney cartoon series that briefly had a scene of two men kissing. Oh, and the Zales jewelry commercial for featuring a lesbian couple. Yeah.
They just spend a lot of time
They're
being
just mad at they're just mad at everybody. And they think, I love that they think we're magic. I don't know that they've caught on to the fact that Mattel just released a Laverne Cox Barbie, but hey.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're mad about that too.
Well,
So my question about the RuPaul dolls, I'm guessing the little...
You want them, don't you?
No, I'm just wondering if like the little miniature fracking equipment is sold separately.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Or,
But don't pretend you're not a fan. Just that's.
I am a fan of Drag Race queens, not of necessarily of RuPaul herself. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah. I mean, Fisher Price said, the figure pack honors RuPaul's efforts to inspire young people young and old, to be true to themselves. And the toy is suitable for people ages 1 to 101. I guess the 102 years old. Maybe
right.
not.
And Drag Race has a very strong viewership in the 12 to 16-year-old demographic.
These moms are yet another group of hateful Christians.
Yeah, they are.
Who spend their time on shit like this.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've, released a press release about guns being taken to classrooms, but, why would they bother with that? Let's move on. This whole thing kind of made me sick.
Yeah.
So this is all going down in Oklahoma.
Yes.
A parent involved in a bitter divorce with her same-sex partner is now fighting for the right to raise her child after an Oklahoma judge ordered for her name to be removed from the child's birth certificate. In late 2018, Chris Williams and her then-wife, Rebecca Wilson, found Harlan Vaughn on a paternity site and used his sperm to impregnate Wilson. Their son, identified as W, was born on August 8th, 2019. 2 years later, they began divorce proceedings. When they appeared in front of Oklahoma County District Court Judge Lynn McGuire last January, McGuire said that Williams' name should be removed from the child's birth certificate because she had no biological relationship to him, being the non-gestational caretaker.
That's very specific language.
Yeah, I didn't think this was supposed to actually be able to happen because she hadn't formally adopted the child, her own child. Right. Her name is on the birth certificate,
right,
as this child's other parent.
Right.
Apparently not good enough for this judge. So the judge apparently wants William's name to be replaced by the name of the sperm donor.
Right.
And that person is now petitioning for custody of the child along with the other mother. And apparently they live together now. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ew. Okay, first of all,
we're totally erasing one parent.
Right. I didn't know that you could take a parent off of the birth certificate. That I didn't.
Well, in 2015, the Supreme Court, remember them, ruled in the case of Pavin versus Smith that same-sex parents of children conceived by a sperm donor and or birth surrogate should both be listed on the child's birth certificate, just as is done for different sex couples who have kids the same way. In June 2019, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled that non-biological parents in same-sex relationships can seek to establish custody and visitation rights equal to those of the biological parent.
Right.
However, in the case of Guzman versus Guzman, the Oklahoma Supreme Court stated that the Schnedler ruling does not apply to legally married couples, meaning that despite the two being married, Chris, as the non-biological parent, does not have any legal standing to claim custody as the child's parent. Whew,
That's fucked up.
This is some bending.
That's fucked up. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. Queer parents are often told to legally adopt their children, even though it is expensive and insulting, so that the parent-child relationship can be recognized anywhere, no matter where you move to or live. Williams has filed a motion asking the court system to reconsider. It won't be heard until June 1st. The ACLU of Oklahoma has pledged to step in if the case is appealed. Vaughn.
Good, because this is insane.
Yeah. So the sperm donor and the other mother now live together in Oklahoma City.
And that's some messy bullshit, too.
In December of 2021, Wilson received an emergency victim protective order from Williams. Wilson said that Williams physically attacked her, though the judge didn't mention this when issuing the decision. And you know what? At this point, I don't know if there was a physical attack or not. Because, when people start playing games, they're playing games. What pisses me off more than anything, and maybe more will come to light. I don't know if there was abuse in this relationship or not. It sounds awfully fishy, a lot of it.
It does.
But, I don't care what happens between adults. I don't care. And, I have said the same thing many times to straight parents. At one time, y'all loved each other. Mm-hmm. At one time, you both made the decision to be parents.
Yep.
Now, you're kind of playing with a loophole to fuck with this person who really should have the same rights you do. It's not okay.
Right.
It's not okay. And, I think at this point, no matter what happens in this child's life, they're going to know that this went down.
Yep.
And it disgusts me. Like, figure out your shit. Be adults. And, the other woman should be fighting for the same thing.
Right.
But she's not. She's not. That's not what's happening. And, this, for me, transcends being queer to be an adult.
Right.
Show the fuck up for your kid.
Right.
And equally show the fuck up for the person you decided to have children with. I mean, my first marriage ended spectacularly. However, we went on to co-parent, through my daughter graduating college. Because that's what you do.
Right.
You can do anything for a few hours. You can show up at events together. You can be civil. You can celebrate milestones together. You can do that. You can do that because that child didn't ask for any of this nonsense.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna follow this and see where it lands. I was reading about a similar case, I believe in Colorado. I think they just passed a law, so this shit doesn't happen.
Right, because not only is it setting up a nasty precedent.
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking with this child and, you know, the stability of their household.
Yeah, I'm angry anytime a child becomes a football.
Right.
Between the parents. Because you can't grow the fuck up.
Right.
You know, and like I said, an order of protection, and from what I have ever read, was filed much later, after the fact, after all this is happening.
Convenient.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not, as far as I have been able to find, there's no documented history of abuse, of physical abuse. There's no documented history of any of that.
Right.
You know, so, yeah, I take that with a grain of salt. But either way, you know, I believe that if that were true, and this had anything to do with anyone's safety,
right,
that would be clear. If that becomes clear, you know, it may inform this a bit, but it still doesn't mean you strip away a parent's rights immediately.
Right.
Because the problem is with you,
right,
not the kid.
This is some
that's,
messy, vindictive
that's why
Judge Judy shit.
All the time for straight people, the courts, you know, put into place that, you know, custody, the handoff for custody or whatever happens in a public place. Sometimes it's supervised if it has to be, because people can't figure themselves out, behave like adults and get along.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you don't take the other parent's name off the birth certificate just because y'all stopped getting along.
Just because you mad.
Or you're now fucking the sperm donor or whatever's going on here. You know, my heart is still with the child.
Right.
It's, you know, it's chilling to watch this kind of nonsense, especially, you know, in a state like Oklahoma where who knows what's going to happen. Right. Honestly, who knows what's going to happen, and who knows how long this is going to be drawn out. So,
messy.
It is messy, and it's. We should hope for sanity.
Pray for sanity.
Yeah. So are you up to speed on this? I'm going to let you talk about her. The Texas Democratic candidate who has compared her gay opponent's HIV status to gambling and drug addiction.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That, I rolled my eyes real hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, former Dallas City Council member Sandra Crenshaw, she's running against Venton Jones for the Democratic nomination in the 100th Texas House District race.
Yes.
And Venton Jones is openly gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, she decided to use this as a talking point in her little smear campaign. She says, what I find deceptive is the fact that my opponent, Venton Jones, announced to the Dallas Morning News that he wants to be the first black gay legislator living with HIV.
What is deceptive about that?
Exactly. We have officials who are both drug addicts, alcoholics, gambling disorders, but HIV does not have to be disclosed unless you want it to be.
Right. And you know, a lot of people disclose because they want to remove the stigma and the shame, and they want to prove that you can live a healthy, wonderful life now. That's where we've come. So, you know,
it's very obvious.
She got a problem with bravery. It's like, I don't know how to top that.
Right.
I don't know how to top HIV.
Right.
She went on.
She did. Gay activist Venton Jones did not use this race as a platform to educate black people about HIV. Jones did not once in his plethora of literature, not one time, did he mention that he's openly gay living with HIV. Not one time. So...
Okay. She ended the sentence with, okay.
Yes. And she said that black voters deserve transparency.
Yeah, which is exactly what he just did.
Right. Like... So is your problem that he said it or when he said it?
She then added, the ACLU in another state says that transgender men is unconstitutional in the jail cells, and so they put them in a cell with another woman, and they ended up impregnating two of those women. So when are you going to protect straight men from injustices?
First of all, I hope literacy is on her platform because, child, that was a sentence.
I don't think it can be. don't think it can be. So there are reports from April that 2 cisgender female inmates in a New Jersey prison became pregnant after having sex with 2 pre-surgical transgender female inmates. Now it's 2. I thought it was 1.
No,
The New Jersey State Department of Corrections said that the sex was consensual. The state has required trans women to be housed with cis women since June of 2021, which is much later than they should have. I mean, this should have happened a long time ago. But she's bringing this up.
And that story is fishy as fuck, too, if you ask me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have questions. I have questions that, we just don't. Maybe this will, when we sit down with Garden State Equality, maybe we'll see if they know a little bit more about the situation. But I have questions.
I have many questions.
Because if these trans women want hormones and aren't being given them, then that would explain how they got somebody pregnant. But if they're on hormones, it would be almost impossible. So I wonder. Mm-hmm. And I also wonder if, do prisoners in New Jersey have access to condoms? I just don't know enough about the laws, but if they do in the men's prisons and these folks still have a penis and they're not on hormones, it would just make sense that they would have access to the same level of contraception. And of course, you think a prison guard got them pregnant.
Yeah, that's my whole thing.
And you're probably right.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I want to see the DNA.
That a prison guard got this woman pregnant, and rather than the scandal be on the prison, they have these scapegoats that are in the cells. Now, mind you, I have nothing but my gut to substantiate that claim, but time will tell, because this is a fishy as fuck story and something ain't curling all the way over.
Right. I mean, we have people who have been deeply involved in the fight to have trans people properly incarcerated, when they are incarcerated, that they be, with the gender with which they identify. And I don't think it's as willy-nilly as folks are trying to say. I really don't. I don't think it's that easy. I don't know. There's a lot I don't know here. But my point is, neither does this person in Texas.
Right.
She don't know either.
Right.
But she's using it as a talking point. For some bizarre reason that has absolutely nothing to do with an openly gay man voluntarily disclosing his HIV status. What the two have to do with each other, I have no idea. I'm just, in terms of smarts and ability to construct a sentence, I would hope that Democrats in the 100th district in Texas look to Venton before they look to this woman who is homophobic and transphobic and stigmatizing HIV.
She sounds like the kind of person that has Tyler Perry's entire filmography on Blu-ray on her shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. But the implication is that, there's just, I know what the implication is supposed to be, and it's ugly, but we do not know enough about that story to really comment on it effectively. We don't know. And definitely, this woman doesn't know.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yes, they are actually competitors in a runoff election, filling the seat of Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat who is seeking a seat in the U.S. Congress. So in the March 4 primary race against Jones, Crenshaw won 34.2 and Jones won 25.6. So now they're in a runoff to fill this seat. Jones is endorsed by the Dallas chapter of the Stonewall Democrats, and the organization criticized Crenshaw for her comments against him. So Anise Parker, who is the lesbian former mayor of Houston, president and CEO of the LGBTQ Victory Fund, said Crenshaw's uninformed remarks, rooted in her own ignorance and homophobia, reveal a candidate shamefully unaware of priorities in this district and clearly unfit for the challenges of the office. She, astonishingly, attacks Venton Jones for not revealing his sexual orientation and HIV status by referencing his remarks in the Dallas Morning News discussing exactly those things. Thinly veiled anti-gay and transphobic insults reveal the character of this perennial candidate I agree. Politicizing someone's sexual orientation and HIV status is unacceptable, particularly from a person who wants to be a public official. Mm-hmm. Crenshaw should immediately apologize. I'll bet she doesn't. So in reading through the article, I realized that this election happened already on May 24th. The District 100 Democratic primary, with 99% of the vote counted, Jones won. 68.3% to Crenshaw's 31.7%. I am so happy.
Thank goodness.
Hate did not win.
Right. And see, and a shitty aspect of that story is the fact that this whole thing could have been a conversation about this being, well, I don't know if it would be historic because I don't know Texas politics like that, but you have the two candidates. On one side is a black woman, on the other side is a gay black man. Mm-hmm. That could have been the conversation, but no, it had to be this divisiveness and old school thinking and hate and rhetoric. And luckily, the right side of history gets to move forward.
Yay.
Yeah.
So that's what I got. Yay. Moving on.
Moving the fuck on.
But yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Venton Jones.
And, this woman needs a hobby.
Word.
The Southern Baptist Sex Abuse Report was released.
I bet that was a page turner.
Yeah, it was in the Washington Post on May 23rd. I just want to know if anyone's surprised. Like, is anyone surprised by this? Because I'm not. So there was an article in the Washington Post, again, dated May 23rd, with some key takeaways. It is a bombshell sex abuse report. Southern Baptist leaders for decades both ignored and covered up sex abuse allegations while claiming to have little power to address them. Mm-hmm. This was a third-party investigation that was released last Sunday, so a week ago. It is a nearly 300-page report, including confidential emails and memos between longtime lawyers for the 13 million member denomination and leaders of the Southern Baptist Convention's administrative arm. The product of an 8-month probe requested by Southern Baptists at their annual meeting in Nashville in 2021 includes several key takeaways. Top leaders repeatedly tried to bury sex abuse claims and lied about what they could do. Yeah. A former SBC president was considered credibly accused of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leaders seemed to put concern over potential litigation over people's safety, which Catholics. Church, does this sound like?
Unheeded warnings really went on for decades.
All of them. Yes. It was a guidepost investigation. I don't know if that means the little magazine, like the little Christian magazine did this, or that's the name of the company that conducted it. I don't know. And there's all kinds of salacious shit about youth pastors, etc. Y'all need to clean your own houses. Y'all need to clean your own fucking houses. And the religious, there's your pedophiles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, straight identified men, usually. And a lot of them show up in church. Yep. And a lot of them just donate their time to the kids. The goodness of their fucking heart.
Right, but we're the groomers. Yeah, all right, bitches.
Yeah, so, Google it if you really want the details. I was just like, yeah, big surprise there.
Well, I mean, you have the air conditioner funds that go on for 14, 15 years.
Yeah, right.
Collecting
most
every week.
Expensive air conditioner ever.
So, hiding stuff like this just doesn't even surprise me.
Yeah, you know what? I can't read through that whole article, but it would not surprise me if we find out how many that there were funds diverted into cover up.
Yeah,
happens all the time. Happens all the time. Well, good, hopefully there is some justice and then some peace for the victims involved because,
those are the ones I actually care about.
Yeah. So we're not going to announce this yet, but let's just say
I was wondering.
Our presence in the UK is rising.
It's true.
We will have a big announcement, hopefully next week.
Right.
Some really good stuff to share. So I'm taking a closer look, at news across the pond and what's going on. And the first fucking headline I came across with Pink News was, the UK is becoming like Trump's America as it spirals into anti-LGBTQ plus hatred, campaigners warn. That was the first headline that I saw. Mm-hmm. We talked to a friend over there recently. We had a really good conversation, and Boris Johnson is their Trump.
Yeah,
and a lot of what I'm hearing out of the UK is so similar.
Yeah,
so similar.
If not worse.
Yeah, the UK is no longer a world leader when it comes to queer rights.
Yeah, it's
plummeted in recent years. Risks being in company with a Trumpian America. We are the person commenting said, we are exactly like America right now. We have hundreds of people outside of abortion clinics in the UK right now. Trans rights, the panel said, are being treated by politicians and the national press as a wedge issue to divide the left and whip up hatred among the right.
Yep.
That sounds familiar. An evangelical Anglican and founder of Banned Conversion Therapy described a culture in Westminster where number 10 Downing Street disregards pleas from government ministers, advisors, and civil servants to support LGBTQ plus rights. Instead, the bid to appeal to an older right-wing religious voting base, just like Donald Trump and Mike Pence, has been the top priority. According to a 2020 YouGov survey, those who oppose trans rights the most in Britain are Leave voting Tories aged 65 and over. But even those 65 and over agree that a trans person should have the right to self-identify, a policy that the Conservative government scrapped.
I'm guessing the Leave voting part is a reference to Brexit.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Leave voted, but they voted in favor of the Tories. I think did vote in favor of leaving.
Right.
The British government has also excluded trans and non-binary people from its conversion therapy ban, despite the majority of the public thinking trans people deserve to be protected from the barbaric practice. That is a large issue right now in the UK, that, as they did this conversion therapy ban, and I haven't read through theirs yet, they excluded trans people. So we can still try to convert trans people. The problem with most conversion therapy bans around the world is that they have a religious exemption, and I believe this one does too. And what that means is the vast majority, like 100% of the conversion therapy happening is not through licensed therapists.
Of course not.
It's through churches.
Right.
And church counselors.
Right.
And people wholly unqualified to speak on the matter with an absolute agenda. And so you can ban it all you want, but unless there is no religious exemption, and I believe New Zealand and maybe Canada don't allow for that. So they're actually banning conversion therapy, and it should be banned.
Right. It don't fucking work.
It never has. But, and the discussion of, but what about when adults want to change? What about it? You tell them, honey, you can.
Right.
That's what you tell them. Learn to love yourself. Because you're never, ever, ever, ever going to not be what you know you are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so
there's people walking around that, don't want to be black, don't want to be tall, don't want to be a mammal, don't want to be human. I'm sorry about it. That's just the way shit is.
Yeah, the UK has taken a page from America's playbook, turning queer rights, trans rights in particular, into a culture war for the sake of votes and deflecting important issues. Because if we're talking about trans people, we're not talking about gun control, right?
Also that.
The right-wing evangelicals are willing to turn a blind eye to all the misdemeanors. So what Trump and Johnson offer these voters is a return to a world where a man is head of the family and the woman is making supper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the U.S., much of the Biden administration has undone many of Trump's anti-trans policies. State legislatures continue the Trump legacy here, and that's the damn truth. And they're writing about it too because, you know, we're ahead of them in this.
Right.
Yeah.
How long is the average tenure for a prime minister?
I don't know.
It's a lot longer than us, isn't it?
I don't know. Can be, I think. Can be. Can be. You know, we're gonna pay more attention as time goes on.
Yeah, we are.
We are, because they are entering the world that we have been living in.
Yep.
And it's terrible. I feel for them. We are going to be more of a presence across the pond, and we're excited about that. And we should have an announcement
soon.
Coming, yeah, next week. So let's move forward. What else is on here? Yeah, and sorry about that, guys. Truly, I'm sorry you have Johnson, and you know you're dealing with what we had to deal with what's his name, and everything he's unleashed, and you know all of the things that are now okay that were never okay in my lifetime. These people are just off their hinge.
Indeed.
Oh, do you want to talk about State Farm? This is weird to me. But yeah, they decided to go backwards.
Yes.
And I don't really actually understand why, but go ahead.
Unlike a good neighbor, State Farm said, you on your own, bitch.
And especially in Florida.
Yes. So State Farm Insurance Company at one point was being pretty active in pro-LGBTQ programs and initiatives. Like, for instance, they encouraged agents to donate books to Florida schools promoting acceptance of LGBTQ plus youth. They were working in partnership with the LGBTQ plus advocacy group called the Gender Cool Project.
Right.
And this was a cool thing. Corporate Responsibility Act analyst from State Farm, Jose Soto, stated in an email January 18th that agents across the nation can donate a 3-book bundle to local teachers, community centers, or libraries, which promotes awareness and compassion towards the LGBTQ plus community, and it promotes literacy, which I always love. So, of course,
the books, by the way, that were to be provided in the bundle included a kid's book about being transgender, a kid's book about being inclusive, and a kid's book about being non-binary.
Right.
Oh, they're big men. Go ahead.
They are big
They don't like
mad.
them. They don't like those books.
Right. So, of course, this initiative was instituted before the whole "don't say gay" bullshit.
Right.
But because of the large right-wing backlash, State Farm has basically reversed their stance.
Yeah. What they had initially emailed and said was, we are seeking 6 agents in Florida that would be interested in participating in a unique project by receiving these books in March, then donating them to their community by the end of April. Along with donating the books, we would encourage the agent to highlight our commitment to diversity on your social media pages. But some jackass, Will Hild,
Yes,
from the right-wing Consumers Research, he got involved. He was tweeting about how he said the emails were shared by employees to show the company engaged in the woke indoctrination of kids age 5+.
Every time a right-winger uses the word woke, I just know they have no idea what that word means or where it came from.
Initially, the company largely pushed back on assertions that the company donated any books directly to schools, a move that could run counter to the controversial law. right-wing outlet The Daily Caller contacted State Farm and was told the program was strictly voluntary. But now, they will discontinue any relationship with the Gender Cool Project. They did release a statement to The Advocate. Their spokesperson said State Farm's, this is a word salad, folks. Get the dressing. State Farm's support of a philanthropic program, Gender Cool, has been the subject of news and customer inquiries. This program that included books about gender identity was intended to promote inclusivity. We support, here it comes. We support organizations that provide resources for parents to have conversations about gender and identity with their children at home. We do not support required curriculum in schools on this topic. As a result, we have made the decision we will no longer be affiliated with the organization. We will continue to explore how we can support our associates, fuck you, as well as organizations that align with our commitment to diversity and inclusion, including the LGBTQ plus community. I guess assuming they live to be adults because fuck the kids.
Right.
We recognize and value the diversity of all people, NATO, and support a culture of respect, NATO, and inclusion, obviously not, in the communities in which we live and work, as well as our workplace.
Where's my red pen? I have notes.
I have no fucking clue what they mean by any of this. I really don't. I really don't. Yeah. The Gender Cool Project exists to provide a supportive network for families and transgender and non-binary children, providing info on inclusive school policy, affirming healthcare, and parent communication. They said it doesn't surprise us that a company decides to work with us and then decides not to work with us because we understand the pressures of our culture. We're just grateful that we had the opportunity to work with State Farm to help them move forward. Well, they didn't. They didn't. And that's the thing. When it gets hot, ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh. That's, and that is a big part of the debate about, corporate support of the community in the first place. Yeah. It's like how all that shit's out there for Black Pride Month and then boom, midnight, March 1st, all gone. Yeah, it's the same for us. It's the same for us.
In my head, I'm hearing...
It's the same.
In my head, I'm hearing one of the characters in Interview with the Vampire. You lack the courage of your convictions, sir.
Well, yeah. And people, corporations can do whatever they want to do, obviously. But, this is a bunch of horseshit. It's a bunch of horseshit and fuck State Farm. Basically, just fuck State Farm. They were out on the limb until it got a little warm. And instead of saying, yeah, well, we of course, we allow our agents to do whatever they'd like to do, they backpedaled all of that and was like, no, not us. That's not us. Yep, we hear you loud and clear. This should only happen in the home. Yeah, some of those parents that are having these discussions with their transgender kids also beat the shit out of them and also put them on the street.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why, exclusively having conversations about gender identity or orientation with parents isn't always the best idea.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. But yeah, thanks State Farm for nothing. For nothing. Oh, who's next? Oh, go ahead. You know what? I don't even have that. I'm gonna. Do we have time for another break? No, go ahead.
So,
go ahead. But
we're just racking up.
I don't want to talk about it.
We're racking up reasons to just not renew our Netflix subscription.
Truly. And fuck all of these men who have shit to say. The latest being Ricky fucking Gervais.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Who has been funny like 4 times in my life.
Yeah, I'm not even going there. Some people find him funny, but yeah.
So he has a new Netflix comedy special called Supernature. And I don't even feel like spending too much time in air on this motherfucker. Basically, he opens the show telling a lot of hateful, transphobic, quote unquote, jokes, talking about, you know, trans people using the bathroom and just using all kinds of outdated language and rhetoric. And it's horrible, and it's yet another thing under the umbrella of Netflix. And, you know, fuck Ricky Gervais. This is on the heels of the horribly unfunny Cat Williams special that we watched on Netflix, where it was just misogynistic as fuck. And I don't even want to know what happened after we turned it off, because
We'll never have to.
We'll never have to. So it's like, you know, you're doubling and tripling down, because I'm pretty sure you know how folks feel about the shit that you have on your platform.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do? You got more people to say the same shit. And I'm pretty sure that you screened these things before you air them, so you knew what the fuck you were doing. And yeah, fuck Netflix. We're keeping our money. Y'all are too goddamn expensive.
Yeah, well, Twitter's not happy with Ricky Gervais, and neither am I. I was looking for the one that is, you know, it's transphobic nonsense.
It is.
Yeah, if you're really curious,
For no goddamn reason.
you can go find it. But it's unfunny. It's unnecessary. And this is what you choose to use your platform for.
Right.
I guess you ran out of jokes.
Right.
You and Bill Maher.
And Dave Chappelle.
And fuck him, too.
Yeah.
They all need to just go count their money. They really do.
And leave us the fuck out of it.
Well, and I think, you know, I really do think it's, you know, that is an important distinction. When, you know, when queer folk, especially younger queer folk, look at people like JK and Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle and Bill Maher, as if young people even look at Bill Maher. These are very wealthy people that are completely out of touch with your lives and your lived experience. And you have to remember that. You have to remember that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I say to all of them, now including Ricky Gervais, keep us out of your mouths. Just keep us out your mouths. We get that you don't understand us. We get that you find us icky. And that's your business. Keep it your business.
You know?
Just stay in your fucking lane. And this isn't it. Moving on. Ugh, God.
Oh, yeah.
This asshat. I said we were going to talk a little bit about some of the fallout of the Texas shooting this week. A MAGA congressman immediately and falsely blamed a transgender person for the Texas school shooting. Representative Paul, how do you say this? Gosar, Gosar.
Sure, we'll go with that.
No, he didn't even offer thoughts and prayers. He blamed an imaginary transsexual, leftist, illegal alien.
And I believe this was after the real identity of the shooter had been released.
Yeah. Republican, of course, from Arizona. One of former President biggest fans and far-right extremist Marjorie Taylor Greene's biggest ally.
Ew.
The MAGA congressman has repeatedly made news for wild claims and outrageous exaggeration. He hit a new low following the mass shooting in Texas when he blamed a transsexual leftist illegal alien for the massacre. The shooter was, I remind you again, an 18-year-old cisgender male.
Yep.
Had already been identified by the time Gosar made this vile assertion. He did identify. Well, he said the perpetrator's name was Salvatore, when their name is actually Salvador. I'm not even reading the last name. I'm not giving any air to that.
No.
And he lifted a photo from a transgender artist's Reddit account, a transgender artist who doesn't even live in Texas,
Right.
and added their picture.
Yep.
To this lie.
Yeah.
Lie. The artist said, "It's not me. I don't even live in Texas." You know,
Bearing no resemblance at all.
The post was removed hours after publishing it. He did not admit that he was wrong.
Of course not.
And has made no attempt to apologize for endangering this woman's life by incorrectly identifying her as a child killer.
Yeah.
Instead, he posted propaganda that claimed the government was planning gun confiscation. What a disgusting piece of shit. You know, a trans girl a 17-year-old trans girl in Texas.
To add insult to injury.
Did report an assault in El Paso in front of the library immediately. James Finn is a fellow writer on Medium, and he is also a writer for the LA Blade. The quote, "Oh, look, it has a dick," snarled one of four men outside an El Paso library where Tracy, we're only identifying her by first name, had just finished her high school homework before heading to the halfway house where she lives because her parents kicked her out for being trans.
Right.
James did a phone interview with her, and Tracy told him that the man grabbed her arm, forced her body around to make her look at him, saying, "Yeah, you know, you're perverting kids instead of killing them." She had no idea what he meant, but she was scared, as she usually is on the streets of El Paso these days. She said, "I'm only 17. Another man said, "Yeah, you know, it was one of your sisters who killed those kids. You're a mental health freak." She twisted away. She rushed off on her bicycle, stopping to phone the El Paso police, who refused to take an assault report. Hours later, she had a phone session with the Rainbow Youth Project, which is in a whole different state. I think that's out of actually Indiana, but Tracy has the number and had called it. She had heard false rumors flying around the internet about the horrific mass shooting as having been committed by transsexual leftist illegal alien. The rumor was amplified in a big way by this jackass, who's also a dentist in Arizona. Yeah. So nobody is quite sure where that false claim got started, but he certainly spread it and shared that photo. This poor kid, was on the phone with James for a long time. He writes at length in Medium about the conversation. And the Rainbow Project, I know that I read, tried to get in touch also with the El Paso Police Department, and they were told no. They would not take a report on the attack. So, fortunately, it sounds like she is physically okay. She got away. She's not mentally ill. She's not dangerous. She's not hurting anybody.
She's just a kid trying to mind her own fucking business.
But she did live on the streets this spring for 2 months. Yeah. Fellow students had threatened to out her as trans to her parents. So she tried to get ahead of it by coming out to her parents on her own terms, and they told her to get out. She goes to high school every day, but she watches her back because students, teachers, and other staff are hostile to her.
Jesus Christ.
She used to confide in a kind guidance counselor, but she doesn't anymore because the counselor got in trouble after people falsely claimed she'd encouraged Tracy to become trans. And of course, we understand all the bullshit that has been going down in Texas and the child abuse allegations.
Right.
She had started socially transitioning in 9th grade before she even met this counselor. And she liked, sitting down with this kind person, but she can't anymore. She also can't talk to her counselor at a community clinic. The clinic actually shut their doors to trans teens a few weeks ago when the Texas government began investigations based on the Attorney General Ken Paxton's legal findings that supporting transition is child abuse. The clinic isn't taking any chances, even though this kid just wants to talk and get some support.
This is disgraceful.
Yeah. The Rainbow Youth Project is actually hundreds of miles away in Indiana. They calmed her down after the assault, listened to her fears, provided as much emotional support as possible over the phone. Then they called the El Paso Police Department for her, who once again refused to take a report. The police department, of course, is not commenting.
Of course not.
The Rainbow Youth volunteer flew to El Paso from out of state 2 months ago to advocate for Tracy. They got her off the streets into a room in a halfway house that Tracy does refer to as nice and comfortable. She said she calls them when she's feeling down, and they often check in on her. She sounded a little weepy when she tells me that the only kind people she can talk to now don't live in Texas.
Right.
She hopes that changes when she turns 18. Yeah, this is bullshit. It's bullshit. And this young trans girl had absolutely nothing to do with anything that just happened. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. But these lies, this hate that's fueled, that takes hold in these small minds, becomes dangerous quickly. Mm-hmm. And that's really the kind of shit that Dave Chappelle should know. But, not so much. Not so much.
Are you happy, Dave? Are you happy, Ricky?
Yeah. And
are you happy, Bill?
Her story is not atypical.
No.
It's not at all. This is what happens to these kids. 40% of the youth still on the streets identify as LGBTQ. Put out of their homes for being LGBTQ. Yep. That's the world we're living in. I'm ready for a break. How about you?
Yeah, let's do that.
We will be back with some palate cleansing pop culture. Please stay with us.
Yes.
Psst. Hey, you.
Want to get doomed?
I'm Tessa.
And I'm Nicole, and we have a spanking new podcast for your ear holes called Doom Generation.
Listen in as two foul-mouthed biddies have an always casual, often comedic...
What? I think we're funny.
...and sometimes chaotic conversation about the things that doomed us to be who we are today.
Take a trip with us down nostalgia lane, and we'll try not to veer off the road.
Available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Doom Generation Pod, and on Twitter at DoomGen Pod. Later, Doomers!
And we're back.
We're back. Before I forget, I want to thank all of you for, joining us on Patreon, patreon.com/fullcirclethepod. Thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting us on Anchor. Don't forget to check out our social media. Visit our Linktree /fullcirclethepod. All of our social media is there. We're finally doing TikTok things on the TikTok.
I know, that was so cute. Your first TikTok was so cute. Announcing the episode, we released the Julia Serrano interview on Friday.
Yes.
Very proud of that interview. I encourage you to please listen in. We talk about her new book, Sexed Up, but we talk about so much more.
Yes.
Just the kind of the current landscape, and she really is one of my absolute sheroes. She's just brilliant and so nice to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went on for 90 minutes. Unfortunately, we had a glitch with video. It was supposed to be a video interview, but the first half got cut short and we couldn't do that. So I still think you should take a clip and make that our TikTok for the episode.
I will do what I can.
Do a little clip of the video we did capture because it was fun.
It was fun.
It was so much fun talking to her. I thank her so much if she happens to be listening. It was an absolute honor to talk with Julia Serrano.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be great. That was great.
It was.
Yeah. So moving on, we went to see
Hallelujah, Baby.
A show that by the time it won Best Musical in 1967, it had already closed.
Yes.
I think I know why. But I'm going to let you talk about how, because it's rarely ever done and it was done locally here by Haddonfield Plays and Players. I think there's still one more weekend to go.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. Really excellent cast.
Yes, the cast kicked ass.
So,
yeah, Hallelujah Baby is a musical, and it basically tells the same story over several decades.
beginning in like 1900, right?
Yeah. So the main character's name is Georgina, and she is a young black woman who wants more for herself. Basically,
She's a 25-year-old black woman.
Oh, she's 25. My bad.
She's a 25-year-old black woman, and in every decade, she is a 25-year-old black woman, which is, kind of fun.
Right. And so, yeah, that's the through line. She wants more for herself. And it takes place, it changes as the times change, but that's the basic through line. So this play is a little, they were going for edgy. See?
Black people left.
Yeah, I believe I was the only black audience member that stayed for the show.
No, you were the only one that stayed to clap.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, because there were two older black ladies.
Oh yeah, as soon as the
over in front of us to the side.
Yes.
And they didn't stay to clap.
No, as soon as the curtain call started, they bounced.
But the older black woman who was sitting kind of directly in front of us,
she made about 15 minutes in.
I think she did make 15.
Yeah.
Not 20 though.
It starts off.
She didn't. She left at what? As we entered the 1920s or 10s or
maybe
something.
Maybe we were still
whatever.
in the 20s.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. She didn't make it far.
She did not, because the show starts off very like Asa coming, Yasm, that kind of thing.
Right.
And by the time as time goes on in the play, folks get a little bit more agency and we start moving forward with the times. But if you don't know what kind of show you're in for, if you don't look at it in terms of it being satire and social commentary, and you just come in looking for a nice musical theater show with some black people for a change, which I wonder if that might not have been the case with the woman in front of us.
Yeah,
you gonna be upset because
it's not that.
Yeah, it is not that.
It's not that.
And once and there is an instance of blackface in the show.
I mean, kind of barely.
It was the laziest blackface I ever saw.
Well, he didn't want to do it, so
Right.
It was more light gray face, and he wiped it right off.
Yeah,
but it was trying to talk about. So she wants to be a performer, and she is performing next to a white man in blackface, and which probably would have occurred at
definitely
that point in time.
Yeah. I mean, for real, she would have had to put on blackface too.
Actually, yeah, right.
So
I think, everybody would have. But this was they told us at the top of the show.
Yeah, they did. They did a very good.
That the cast had, all mutually agreed to do it.
Yes.
And why?
And they had conversations around it, and apparently, like, it was good conversations.
Yeah,
they did their due diligence.
This was a young, very talented black director, and we did meet him after the show, and he, felt like it needed some air after all these years. And
right.
I don't know how many times it's ever been produced, but it is very rarely produced. Right.
And I'm grateful that I was able to come to it knowing what it was and being able to view it through that lens. And I don't know whether or not the woman in front of us didn't know what kind of show it was. Like either she didn't know and it was too much, or she did know and she just couldn't take it. Either way, I'm not mad at her. I get it. I understand.
Do you know whose hands I would have liked to have seen this in? If our friend Z,
yes,
if she could have sort of taken it apart and rewritten the book, I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah, it's not actually that good of a show.
It's not that good of a show. I don't know that that's even possible. You'd have to call it something else entirely. But I thought I would have loved to have seen the way she would have done this.
Yeah.
Because I think it would have been really handled differently. But, you may not be able to do that and still call it by the name, you know,
Right.
like that is probably a thing that's not possible, but
Right.
it was
interesting.
I think it's a dated show.
Well, it is. I looked at it as an exercise from a moment in time. I was able to look at it like objectively and academically, and in that way I was able to enjoy it. Now, I also realized what that meant is the other 3 black people that are in the theater at the time are seeing my black ass sitting there laughing and clapping when they're like, excuse me? And I get it. I ain't mad at none of them.
Right. Right.
I know what I look like.
You know what they called you when they left.
And I get it, but you know, I was looking at it objectively, and the cast was great, and
really were.
That's the main part.
They really were
clapping and cheering for the wonderful performance these performers gave, the cast gave. They could sing their asses off.
And this was the musical that launched Leslie Uggams' stardom.
Yes.
And she was the lead role of Georgina, and it really did. It launched her career.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a good, juicy role. It was just, yeah.
Yeah. And the young woman that performed
the book is terrible.
The role, that performed the role in this production. I can see her going somewhere.
Absolutely.
Because she had that kind of voice.
Yeah.
She was, yeah.
It is at Haddonfield Plays and Players through the first weekend in June. So, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lovely little theater, terrific group of people, great cast. Yeah, so we did that.
We did.
We did that. Yeah. Moving on in pop culture. So Ellen ended her 19-year talk show.
I can't believe it was that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means it was 19 years ago when I was watching that shit.
Yeah. Her guests were Jennifer Aniston and Pink. Jennifer Aniston was on the first episode back in 2000. What was it, 4?
Oh, wow.
I think. Yeah, 3, whatever it is. 2003. She was a guest on the first episode, so she was also a guest on the last episode.
That's cute.
Yeah, and Ellen talked about, you know, she was not allowed to say gay when she started her talk show.
Right.
She said, I said it at home a lot. What are we having for our gay breakfast? Or pass the gay salt? Has anyone seen the gay remote? She said, I couldn't say we because that implied I was with someone.
Right.
Which she was, Portia de Rossi.
Portia de Rossi, yeah.
De Rossi, yeah. And I sure couldn't say wife because it wasn't legal for gay people to get married. And now I say wife all the time. 25 years ago, they canceled my sitcom because they didn't want a lesbian to be in prime time once a week. And I said, okay, then I'll be on daytime every day.
Right.
And she was for 19 years.
Yeah.
Aniston came on and did a montage of clips through the years. I love Pink gave Ellen gifts to start her life as a retired person, including sourdough starter, bird watching glasses,
Nice,
and yarn for knitting. Ellen immediately used the bird watching glasses to check out Aniston's cleavage.
See.
Yeah. So, you know, she thanked her producers and her audience. To all who have watched this show and supported me, thank you so much for this platform. I hope that what I've been able to do in the last 19 years has made you happy, and that I was able to take a little bit of pain away from a bad day or anything you're going through. If I've done anything in the last 19 years, I hope I've inspired you to be yourself, your true, authentic self. If someone is brave enough to tell you who they are, be brave enough to support them, even if you don't understand. I'm not going to get into all the who struck what about what kind of person she was to work for.
Right.
You know, we know all that is swirling, but, you know, this is historic.
Yeah.
That an out lesbian had a 19-year career as a daytime television host.
She did.
You know, shows come and go every day, and she had staying power, and she really did, I think, try to use her platform well.
She did. Her show and her presence on that show meant a lot to a lot of people. She gave a lot of people a platform.
She did.
Like, what is the young man's name that he now is like internet famous, like little young gay black man. Like his whole thing is reacting to people fucking up food. And it's hilarious, and he is adorable, and like she basically like discovered him and put him on.
Right.
And like his YouTube channel was like EllenTube or some shit. Like
wow.
It was like that. She did a lot for people.
Yeah,
so say what you will, but you know.
I don't know about all of it. I haven't read all of it. I didn't watch her show. I admit it.
I watched it for a while.
Well, I mean, I caught it now and again.
Yeah.
Like at the dentist office, but it wasn't a thing. Like daytime television just wasn't a thing.
Right.
And for the last how many years we haven't had cable, so right. You know, it's like but yeah, so 19 years and a lot has changed, and a lot changed for her, and as I said, I think, you know, when we look back at all of it, she tried to do some good, and she did do some good. So yeah, wish her and her wife well in their future endeavors, and I hope they use their money to good ends.
Right. Right.
How about that?
Yeah.
Cool thing, Discovery Plus is opening The Book of Queer June 2nd. And I read a piece also in LGBTQ Nation. We should do their podcast.
Okay.
Eric Cervini, Dominique Jackson, and Leslie Jordan sat down to discuss their new docuseries, The Book of Queer. This is really about LGBTQ history because there's a lot missing from the standard texts taught in school. It aims to fill in those gaps with colorful sketches about historical figures such as Abraham Lincoln and Bayard Rustin. For queer historian Eric Cervini, who executive produced this series, shining light on these monumental individuals is what it's all about. Quote, above all, the Book of Queer is about representation and authenticity. In Hollywood, these things have been missing for so many of our stories that have been told, have forgotten the real queer people behind the stories. He added he expects audiences will be surprised. These stories go back to the dawn of humanity, stories we've always been a part of. This is exciting, especially with what's going on. You know, I'm going to assume, because queer people are at the helm, this is going to be good. He appears in the Book of Queer along with celebrities who lend their voices as narrators for the series, including Dominique Jackson and Leslie Jordan.
Fabulous.
Yeah. For Jackson, her reasoning was, anytime there is anything about bringing visibility to the community, I want to be a part of it. Queer people believe that they're not a part of history, but they are.
Hell yes.
She said, so many people try to erase our history, and I want our community and all the younger people a part of it, to know that they do have a place in history and a history that they can look up to. For Jordan, it was an incredible learning experience. He wonders why it wasn't made before. And Cervini answers that question. Most LGBTQ history that is taught is tragic. Most people know that, and they primarily focus on that history. But there's a lot of joy in our history. We wanted to show that and to share these different stories. So we finally decided it was time to tell our history, and we created a television series with the largest out LGBTQ cast in television history.
Fabulous.
For all of them, it is a necessity for the media landscape. A lot of this has to do with the main purpose, which is representation. So often non-LGBTQ creators have profited off of our tragedy, and now Hollywood has a moral obligation as creators to be a better example of how representation should work, Cervini said. Jackson echoed it with, when we search for anything these days, everything that pops up is nothing but negative things. Our community isn't solely about tragedy and sex. We have a history that is filled with accomplishment and achievement. This is so exciting to me.
This is
like really great, really great. There's a great article that really, delves into making this. They are hoping this becomes a great resource. I'm certainly hoping that, in New Jersey, where we can say gay and we can talk about ourselves in school, I hope that, this is encouraged.
Yeah.
Watching. Yeah.
Gay.
It's entertaining, but there is but there is an importance to learning so many things that aren't a part of history that should be taught. All three have a message for anyone at home watching. We have a duty to continue telling our history, especially in states that are trying to erase our history. We're so passionate about this series because of the anti-trans legislation and the Don't Say Gay bill. By learning history, we are better equipped to go up against this legislature with strength and not shame.
Gay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it premieres again Thursday, June 2nd on Discovery Plus. There is a preview on YouTube, and I can't wait to watch. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm excited. So yay us.
Yay us.
And I really, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch. And I my sense is it's going to be age appropriate. You know what I mean? It's going to be something kids can also watch. And thank God, because it couldn't be a more critical time.
Word
up. To say you have an ancestry to be proud of.
Damn it.
Yeah. So this is so cool. I'm happy. I'm excited. And
well, you are exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's just not what you meant to say.
I appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes these things just slip out.
Your Freudian slip is showing.
Right. So you've been I guess I've been busy, so you've been watching two of your favorite shows. Why don't you talk about them?
Oh, yeah, two of my obsessions are on television at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3 of Legendary is on, and I know the criticisms about its authenticity and the gamification of making ballroom mainstream. Yeah. But
yep.
I enjoy, first of all, the fact that Naomi is there is what keeps as much authenticity in it as possible. Like,
okay,
she's the one whose opinion matters as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Because they have guests who come on and don't know jack about ballroom. Jamil just found out about ballroom 2 days before she got on the show.
Yeah, she took a lot of shit for even taking that job.
Yeah,
she really did.
She had to come out just to say she had any skin in the game at all.
I eat pussy. Yeah. I did, or at least I would.
But I will say,
I don't know her life like that. I don't know exactly what she said.
I can say, like, she has done her homework, because, like,
okay,
she comes from, she has a little bit more education under her belt now. I can tell just by the way she says that.
Well, that's good.
But it always cracks me when she's like, so if we see you at the next function, I'm like, girl, stop saying that. Stop saying function.
I liked her in The Good Place.
Oh, I loved her in The Good Place. The reason I love Legendary is the same reason why I love Drag Race. I'll get to that in a second. I know you hate competition television.
I don't love it. No, I do not.
I look at it purely for the creative outlet of these individuals.
Okay.
I love seeing the things that they come up with. I love seeing people come up with performance and creative expression. That is the sole reason why I enjoy it. I love seeing anything ballroom on television, so I'm always going to support it. That's just me. Now,
and I'm not even pretending that ballroom itself is not actually competitive. It is.
Very much so.
I wish it wasn't. I mean, but then that's me. Yeah.
Right.
I'm broken. It's fine.
A little bit.
It's fine.
And I'm also watching Drag Race All Stars season 7, which is an all winner season. I stopped watching regular seasons of Drag Race because I kept hearing stories about the kind of person that RuPaul is and the way she treats the girls. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Willem and Alaska's podcast, and they had Delta Work on, and who won an Emmy for doing RuPaul's hair.
Yeah.
And the stories that she told about the way she was treated by RuPaul, that was like the final straw, and I stopped watching. So
till this season.
Well, I watch All Stars. Okay. I haven't watched season 12. I haven't watched I haven't watched since season 12. And there's been season 12, 13, 14.
So you have drawn a crooked line.
I admit it. I haven't watched Drag Race UK or Canada or Spain or it's fucking everywhere, and I haven't seen a bunch of it. But I watch All Stars.
I'm so thankful for that too.
I watch All Stars because there is a population of queens that I already like. I've fallen in love with, and I've been following their career since they've been on the show, and I'm seeing what they're doing, and I'm fans of them. So when they're on All Stars, I will watch them because I want to see what they do. And also the same reason why I've always used to watch Drag Race. I love the creativity. I love the expression. I love the craftsmanship. I love seeing what they come up with, you know?
Okay.
And this is an all winter season. So it's like the best of the best of the best. You know, you got Raja is back. You've got Jinx Monsoon is back. Shea Coulee, the Vivian, who I never got to see before because she was the first winner of Drag Race UK, which I didn't watch.
Right.
Evie Oddly, who was the winner of season 11, who
you loved.
I love Evie Oddly. I wanted to spend money on going to see her, except there was this little thing called the pandemic. Like her show, she came to Philly right after she won, and right when we started being scared about being in like in space,
confined space.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I didn't go see her live.
Okay.
Who else? Jada Essence Hall, who won season 12. She won over Zoom because it was during the pandemic.
Right.
Who else? Trinity the Tuck, who won All Stars with Monet Exchange, who I love. You know, it's good. These queens are amazing. And so, you know, I'm obsessed. I'm watching it. And when All Stars is over, I'm going to go back to not giving a fuck about Drag Race. And eventually we're going to run out of queens that I like and know because there's 800,000 seasons and I'm not going to know these queens. And I'm just going to stop watching that too. But for now, I'm going to take my fix from people that I enjoy. So that's really all that is.
It's fun. I mean, first of all, I'm actually not a hypocrite. I was a fucking drag queen.
Right.
I was. For a time. I was a headliner, thank you.
It's true.
You know, and we hosted a performance series together. And, you know, I appreciate the art form. What I never was, save the once, which, you know, I'll talk about another time, but I was never a competition queen. Never. The only person I was competing with was myself.
Right.
So, you know, I performed through Philadelphia in several different shows. I still have friends to this day who I met through performing and people I love dearly. Yeah. And, you know, one of the things about the Philadelphia drag community is there's a lot of overlap with the trans community.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's how a lot of us figure ourselves out. We figure out what is and isn't drag for us because of drag. And, you know, it's a powerful component of our experience. And, you know, we have friends who are trans women who have been on the scene performing for years. And they still perform in drag. Yeah. They still, you know, Lisa Thompson is a trans woman who has hosted the longest running drag show in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And we know Lisa at Bob and Barbara's on South Street.
Yep.
And I've performed there many times.
Yep.
I
remember carrying your stuff down that steep ass basement staircase.
Oh my God, yeah. I used to have to duck to get in and out of the dressing room.
It's a wonder I never killed myself. It's a wonder y'all never killed yourself. You do that shit in heels.
I used to put my shoes on the stairs because I couldn't walk around there without losing a wig or, you know, half of my face because the ceiling is low.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would put my shoes on, bend myself in half, and come up out that stairwell. But, you know, so there's a lot of overlap. There is a lot of camaraderie. Most of us have known each other for decades. And, you know, some of them are still drag queens. Some of them don't do drag anymore. I mean, I, you know, revived my act once in our bar to host Fringe of the Fringe because certain acts said, I'm not coming unless you're going to be in drag.
Right.
And I was like, fine. And it was a great show.
It was.
But my problem is not drag. My problem is not ballroom, though ballroom is a competitive thing. My problem is the mainstreaming of all this in the context of competition. That, this is the snapshot people are getting of us, and it has to be a competition. I fucking hate competition. Many of us, were traumatized by competition, by consistently being the last kid picked for shit that never mattered, for a fucking kickball team. It was me and this girl, Julie. And Julie had no athletic ability whatsoever. And sometimes she got picked first before me, but we were always like the last two.
Right.
And, I'm sorry that shit sticks with you through life.
I hear you.
So, I've had to teach myself to only compete with myself. I have an ethos, where a lot of my work personally is concerned. My writing, I give it away for free. When I write an essay, it goes onto WordPress first. So my trans kids can read my shit for free, for better or for worse, but they have access. I have always been helpful professionally. I have, I didn't keep a bunch of secrets hidden in a bag. If somebody came to me to learn something, I shared that. I refuse to operate from sort of a position of fear where things are concerned. And I said to you, as we were talking about sponsorships and different things, and I believe I was talking about an introduction to another LGBTQ podcaster. And it really was a joke because I said, what if they try to steal our format? Well, go ahead and try.
Right.
I mean, go ahead and try. You may do it better. You will do it differently, but what you can't be is us.
Correct.
So you're going to do your thing no matter what. If you catch our format, I'm sure we stole from other people, whether we knew it or not, like the cadence of what works for us and the ways that we talk about things.
Right.
I just hate fucking competition. I just hate it. I hate that everybody can't just go play. I hate that the reason trans kids just can't play based on the way they identify is because of the competitive aspect of the bullshit. If it didn't matter who won and we weren't keeping score and we were just letting these kids air themselves off and get off a video screen and get some exercise and play and have fun and learn teamwork, we wouldn't care who was trans. We care about it because of the competitive part of sports. That's why we care. It's why it's an issue. It's why it can be brought up. And that's why it's a context most straight people jump right on, because everything is so goddamn competitive. I hate sports for that reason. Like, everybody just go play. Have fun. I love watching people who are really good at their sports. I don't want to give them a score. I want everybody to win at the Olympics. I just like, wow, look at that skater. They were good. Oh, they were really good. They were really great. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. The whole competitive nature of shit for me is a problem.
I hear
it's a problem. So, ballroom in the context of HBO money is not really ballroom. It's not really the lived experience of the people involved. But it is what it is. It certainly is exposure. And if it were a showcase, I'd have no problem with it. You know what I mean? If instead of competing for $100,000 purse, they all got 20 grand, I'd be happy. And do a fabulous showcase. Why? That's my issue. And that's my issue with Drag Race, frankly. Like, has it brought drag into mainstream? Has it really brought queer people into mainstream? In a lot of ways, yes. Is that always good? I don't know. I know a lot of trans women, particularly older thinkers, who are not fans of drag at all.
And I get that too.
And mostly it is because of the conflation that is all trans women are. Men in dresses, pretending to be women.
Right.
And that is not what trans women are at all. But, you know, it's problematic. And for me, competition generally is problematic. I want everyone to excel. I want everyone to have opportunity. I want everyone to not be afraid to play because they're not being judged on how they play. I want them to know that they can play.
Right.
So that's my thing. That's just my thing. And it's my thing. You know, I don't stop you from watching it. I make comments, I know, but
yes, I can enjoy the show better when you're not sitting next to me.
I understood. And I enjoy it better when I'm not there in the room.
But see, you got to admit, Jinx Monsoon.
I love Jinx Monsoon.
Doing Judy Garland in the Snatch Game
that was fun. Yeah, you made me watch her doing Natasha Leone, which was just okay. And I was like, I don't know why I had to see that to get to Judy Garland. We could have just shown me Judy Garland. But anyway, I mean, yeah.
And I will say,
there are very, very talented. I love Bob the Drag Queen.
Yes.
I love Bianca Del Rio and had for years before she ever went on Drag Race.
Right.
You know, I've known of Bianca for years.
Right.
Who was in New Orleans and in New York and, you know, fabulous performer, fabulous comedian, smart as hell.
Yeah.
Entertaining. Absolutely. It's just the competition part of it.
I hear you. But you know
For
what?
me.
The show has done a lot for visibility now that RuPaul relaxed her fucking stronghold about trans representation on the show. Like, there have been so many trans queens on the show now.
There have been.
And they do make the distinction between being trans and being a drag queen.
And like I said, that is, you know, that is the reality, at least in Philadelphia. That is the reality of our constantly replenishing drag scene. That, you know, we have trans participants. We always have.
Yeah, trans women have always been a part of the
wasn't
drag
there a
scene.
cis woman on Drag Race?
There's a cis man, a straight man, a cis
straight man doing
Maddie Morphosis, I believe, the most recent season.
Female drag?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know.
It's a controversial subject.
It kind of is.
And apparently,
you talk about appropriation, boy howdy.
And apparently, you know, there would be less criticism if Maddie's drag was good.
Oh yeah, there's that.
So,
but what would you expect? I would not expect good drag from a straight man. I'm sorry.
I believe it was
not on this planet.
I believe it was Willem that said, you know, there's a certain taste level that comes from being fucked in the ass. So
there you go.
If you haven't experienced that, then you just don't know what that is. Sorry about it.
I mean, she may not be wrong.
I'm just saying.
She may not be wrong. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's but most of us, you know, already have taste at a very young age.
I know that's right.
I was given my critique of my mother's decor, you know, before kindergarten. I was walking around going, really? Do we have to have that?
Right. Same.
Sad.
Same.
Sad. And then they act like they didn't know. You know, and it's like, really? Come on.
I've seen the pictures.
Really? Yeah, exactly.
I saw those faces.
How did they not? Oh, of course they knew.
Like, oh, girl.
Of course they knew.
Oh, girl. All right. Well, we have been talking for a very long time.
We have been talking for a very long time. I just, you know, if you want to bring up Drag Race and Legendary,
I knew what I was doing when I brought it up.
I have to be allowed to defend myself.
Defend yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, really, the crux of the issue for me is not that these people aren't wonderful performers, not that they are not dedicated to their craft, and not that and many of them are so involved in so many important causes and do so much of their work for free and have in the past and will in the future.
Right.
You know, where there's money to be raised for community. Honestly, you know, no shade at all against drag or against ballroom. It's just I wish we were less competitive as a society. I really, really do. And especially within our own community. I wish we did more supporting and less, competing.
Right.
On that note, it is a gorgeous day.
It is.
Your cat really wants to come in. He's been at the front window since we started talking about Legendary, and I was like, let him wait. Shady's, it's a nice day. It's a really nice day outside, but Shady's had his fill.
Yes.
I am Martha Madrigal.
And I'm Charles Tyson Jr.
Thank you once again for joining us on Full Circle,
the podcast.
Have an amazing day. We will join you again this week on Friday when our guest will be Kathy O'Connell, the Peabody Award-winning host of Kids Corner here in Philadelphia on WXPN. She is amazing. She is my sister from another mister, and I really can't wait to hear her insights on talking to our children as we look at all that we're looking at these days. Please join us for that episode, and thank you for joining us for this one.
Thanks, everyone.
Gay.
Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingle Berries. All names, pictures, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holder.